Hi, I'm Daniel. She's Ruth.
Hi.
We are here, Israel Uncovered, live from Tel Aviv.
Yes.
And one of the things we wanted to chat about is shocking reactions from friends and family around the world during this war. And they could be around October 7th or after October 7th. What are the interactions that shocked you from friends and family, for bad and for good, actually? Any examples from you?
So, yes, October 7th was, the confusion was just global.
Right.
It was certainly confusing here for us, but also globally, nobody really understood what was going on. And I was in touch with my dad and my brother, and they were immediately very keen to bring me back to the UK. And I was not wanting to leave Israel at all.
Why?
I felt like I was here.
You didn't feel under threat?
I didn't feel under threat. And actually, when I saw the protests erupting in London hours after, outside the Israeli embassy, after the attack we've just lived through, I simply couldn't see that.
Right.
And I didn't even want to experience it. I was really okay. Like, I really felt part of, like I said earlier, the struggle of being able to volunteer and help with the, packing the boxes and all of that. But I had a message from my brother. This was, I think it might have been on October 7th, later on in the evening. He said, don't be a martyr, Ruth. Get on a plane home. Well, at this time as well, the airport was chaos.
Right.
Loads of flights have been cancelled.
Right.
I didn't feel in any hurry to get back to the UK. I was perfectly okay where I was.
Right. What about friends? Did you get the
I had a lot of
friends?
I did have a lot of messages from friends just checking to see if I was okay, and actually nobody really sort of dramatically disappointed me. What I did really struggle with was my brother and my dad insisting that I not be a martyr and go home.
Right.
Which was absolutely the opposite of what I wanted to be doing. And
but I also can see from their perspective,
I 100%
why they felt that. They're like, come back home, you're safe here.
Yeah.
We don't know what's going on there. We don't know what it's going to lead to. We don't know how it's going to unravel. Like you said, there was all this confusion. So I think like it's normally acceptable knee-jerk reaction from your father, from your brother.
Absolutely. And then when I did get back to London, and then I came back to Tel Aviv in the March. So I left Israel on October 16th, 2023. I went to Rome, spent 3 days in Rome, and then got a flight back to London because there were no flights directly.
Flights. Interesting.
To London.
For me, October 7th, yes, I did get a lot of messages from friends and family just around the world, from South America, from North America. I have a lot of family in Spain. I had a lot of friends in London, in Paris, in everywhere in the US, in New York. So I did get like a lot of messages. They were also like really confused. I also didn't know what to do. Like I was like, do I stay in Tel Aviv? Do I go to New York? Do I go to my parents? So, a couple of days after, there's a fly. I went to Jerusalem because I was like, okay, I might as well be with my parents. And also like, I just think like my mom is very diligent. My house is a very organized Spanish house. So there's always proper breakfast, lunch and dinner. So I know that at least I'm going to be kind of like taken care of. The house is always like, impeccable. So like at least there's that kind of like sense of normality.
Yeah.
But in terms of like shocking messages, it's really nice. I did get a lot of messages from like former colleagues from the BBC. In particular, this one friend, a really good friend of mine from London, who was a former colleague, she said, come to London. I have a spare bedroom. You can stay for as long as you want.
Aww.
And that meant the world to me.
Yeah.
That was, I just don't even think this person, I don't even think she knows, I don't think she'll ever know how much it meant to me. And
lovely.
And it wasn't bullshit.
No.
Because she said, and because she kept saying it. like 2 days later, she said, I'm looking at the news. This is the last BA flight from Tel Aviv to London. Jump while you can. I'll pick you up from the airport. You have a spare bedroom. And I mean, I was like speechless. And to me, that was so shocking that it also came from a colleague I haven't worked with for over 10 years. And
wow.
And that's where you see, I just think like sometimes at war, you see the best of people and the worst of people.
Oh, sure.
And then you also get a lot of like nice messages, which is kind of like what you expect, kind of like, hey, are you okay?
Yeah.
Hope everything's okay and everything's over soon, which is kind of like what you expect. And I guess what I would send to most people that I know they're in a conflict area. You also get people that are like, okay, you're always looking at my Instagram stories. We kind of like, we've seen each other not so long ago. We're a lot closer, and you just get radio silence. So you're like, and again, everyone has their lives, everyone's busy, everyone's this, that, the other. So like, I'm not bitter, but it is surprising. It's like, I'm not expecting anyone to just like take any political stand or say anything, but just say, hey, hope you and your family are safe. Hope the war is over soon. And that was also surprising.
I did have a lot of people get in touch. I found at that time, just processing things, we were all in a state of shock.
Right.
And I think I remained in that state of shock for at least 6 weeks following the attack.
Yeah. I think we still are.
I think we still are, but I think we've now learned to sort of deal with it.
Suppress it.
But if we look at certainly the big change with me is that I have now left the UK to come and live in Israel.
Right.
And
that says everything you need to know. Also it's really interesting. So I have another friend in London that, we were in touch a lot. We were colleagues for years, and she pretty much checks on me every day, and also like incredible. So like, there's some people that is just like, and again, we don't even talk about the conflict. We don't talk about the war. We might talk about like anything, movies, work, skincare, you name it.
Yeah.
It just doesn't like stupid, like memes, like politics, anything, the US election. So it's just really nice. And when the Iran attack, she was just messaging me every 20 minutes. I'm watching this in the news. Are you okay? You okay? So that's also like really lovely. And there's also the other thing that surprised me is people, I don't know. I have a school friend, someone I used to sit with in high school in Spain, in Madrid. He now lives in Berlin. He's a DJ. And I haven't spoken to this guy in 25 years. And he sent me a voice message on Instagram, and he said like, hey, I don't know if you remember me, but are you still living in Tel Aviv? Like, I just want to make, he was like, get the hell out of there, you know, you can always stay with me in Berlin. Yeah. So like, people that you didn't like, people coming out of the woodwork, or like in the Iranian attack, like, also like a colleague from the BBC, again, someone I never really directly worked with that much, actually a former head of press, just messaged me out of nowhere on LinkedIn. And I was like, that's like the last person I expected to get such a, and it was actually a super lovely message from someone that, so it's funny. So like, for some people that you're really close with at some time, and like, it's like radio silence, and from other people that you haven't spoken in 25 years or something. And that was like amazing.
I think on a sort of negative point of it, it was, again, when I got back to the UK, very few people actually wanted to talk about the conflict or to talk about what was going on. They didn't, and I wasn't ready to not talk about it.
Interesting. Because people are so scared about like people are like being coerced into like not saying anything positive about Israel, not showing the support, or always saying, yeah, but what about the suffering in Gaza? But what about the this? And at the end, it's like, I don't know. I don't live in Gaza. I don't live in Ukraine. I don't live in South Korea. I don't live in China. Yeah. I'll tell you my experience from where I live in. Yeah. So the moment everyone tries to contextual, I think there's fewer things are more cruel than trying to contextualize your trauma with somebody else's suffering. Yeah. I mean, I have a friend, for example, that she's going through like let me give you an example that is completely different. A friend of mine going through IVF. She wants to be a mom. She's in her like early 40s. She's gone through like 12 cycles. She's had 3 miscarriages. Somebody said to her, yeah, but at least you have like a great job and a good house. And it's like, look at this other girl who, like, she's going through the same as you, and she's got a shitty job. She's struggling with. It's like you cannot do that to someone.
No, you can't compare
So-
one person's trauma to another.
And I think that is so cruel, the necessity to say, well, yeah, but look at how bad they have it. It's like, well, I get it, but I'm not gonna. I'm not living their experience. I'm living my experience, and so I think people are really scared of having that conversation and listening to your story without lecturing you onto. Well, yeah, but A, B, C. What about this? So, and I think that's
also,
why people
I didn't want to hear the low, but A, B, C. I wasn't ready for that.
And why should you be ready? It's like, again, I mean, I see I know people that are like fighting. I know what's happening in Gaza. I know what's happening in South Africa.
Yeah.
I know these things. You don't need to like. I'm just telling you about my story, my family, my day job.
We know what's happening in Gaza, but again, why isn't everyone up in arms about what's going on in Sudan? What Assad did to the people of Syria?
Well, that's the thing. Is like because the conflict here is so.
It's
because it's a it's a
God
sport.
forbid.
Talking about like the conflict here is just like a political sport.
And what the big bad wolf Israelis have done.
Well, yeah, no, but it's crazy. So that's what I mean. So like people don't want to speak politics, and by the way, I'm okay with that. You don't want to talk. You want to talk politics and want to get my opinion? Great. You don't want to talk politics and just want to say hope you and your family are safe? Great. But to me, like what kind of like irks me is the people that go silent, and what surprises me on a good side is the people that like come out of the woodworks and you actually see their humanity and say like, hey. Haven't spoken to you in 25 years. Hope you and your family are safe. If I'm not wrong, also, this other friend that we had in common was also in Israel. Do you know anything from them? It's like, and then that's where you see like, and that kind of like, those are the things that just give me that hope in humanity. And that's when you just see that they see you as a person. So I think that's nice.
Yeah, agreed.
Did you have any crazy, shocking reactions?
I think some of a few weeks ago after Iran, when I had this sort of awful online hate,
right,
and when I just spoke the truth. But what I found interesting about that was that I'm very against this Israeli government. Most of the things when I do talk about Israel involves me not supporting Netanyahu.
Okay,
and this was the first post on camera I'd done. I hadn't even mentioned Netanyahu because he was completely irrelevant.
It wasn't about politics.
It wasn't about politics
during a bombing.
And because I've been very vocal in being against the Israeli government, I haven't had as much hate as those who I think have just stood up immediately for Israel straight after October 7th.
Well,
for whatever reason. But when I did receive this hate, I was like, it was they're both sort of old school friends. And I guess what shocked me was just this lack of empathy, complete lack of empathy.
Right.
And, even if I don't have something positive to say or something constructive to say.
Don't say anything.
I don't say anything.
Yeah.
And, but this came out in a real... People were angry with me because I had a drink in my hand, and I was like, I've just come out of a bomb shelter.
Yeah. The lack of empathy is like really shocking because, and what you say also about the government is interesting because I always feel that the only acceptable way of a Jew outside of Israel to support Israel is by shitting on the government, and that's why it's true. That's the only acceptable. It's like if you say like
look, this government does deserve to be shat on, but
yeah, that's fine. But that to my point is what happened to you.
Yes.
The moment your criticism or your analysis of the situation doesn't include shitting on the current government, you just like. You're like a maniac and you just want to kill people and
you're complicit with child killing,
basically,
and baby killing. Basically, if you don't go against the Israeli government and you just stand up for Israel and the Jewish people,
right,
you might as well be complicit in baby killing.
Right. So that's why I am less vocal about my criticism of the government because I know how it's interpreted, not because I'm not critical or because I don't think, you know, they deserve criticism on lots of their policies, and more than anything, actually, internal policies rather than than policies to do with the actual conflict.
Right.
So that's why like it's really shocking. And you know, I also have like exactly like I have like a friend in France that just keeps posting everything is anti-government and she's Jewish and everything is like, you know, Netanyahu's blah, 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 blah. So I just think like I get it because that's the only way for them not to be seen like in a negative light abroad. But that's a problem. But that's
that is a problem. It is a problem.
That's a problem because you cannot like stand with something. But anyway, I just think it's interesting reactions also from Jewish family I have in the US. You know, of course, super empathetic and super worried and super everything, but you also realize that they don't have a clue about what's going on. Right. Even my brother lives in Mexico. He doesn't have a flipping clue what's going on here. Oh. He's like, oh yeah, he's like, yeah, I hear this and there's rocket, this, more of the same. But and also some friends get upset with me about this. Friends that have lived here, they're like, if you are not here during the war, you have no idea what's going on. I think you know there's a war.
Yeah.
And you know there's a conflict and you might study it, but you just don't understand the atmosphere of a country at wartime and the essence and the day-to-day if you're not in it. And I think it's probably the same with like Ukraine, and it's the same with everything, and it's the same with Gaza, it's the same with everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's very hard to explain the struggle, the trauma, the stress, everything, and the consequences of it. You know, everything has consequences. I have like issues, okay, not major issues, but like whatever, like sleep issues and digestive issues and skin issues.
Yeah.
Like all these stress and anxiety and war, it does kind of like flare up as different, like in different ways. So then it's really funny when people outside try to frame what's happening around you through the lens of someone that has never been here.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, but this, but this. Or when what I hate, for example, is like, you know, on October 7th, it's like, I'm witnessing all these people being killed right, left, and center, and like all these jihadi terrorists posting it on their Instagrams. And somebody in Spain says like, yeah, but the geopolitics is really complex. And I'm like, well, he's like, where do you start? I mean, it's like, you know, what?
But that's when all of this anti-Semitism really rose to the surface.
Of course, that's the madness.
That's the madness.
And also that's the madness is like when you
it's
have
like we deserved it.
Yeah, and also like to me it's like when you see like all these feminists and you know like the Me Too, I trust you, this and that, the other, and they were like completely silent. You're like, wow. Yeah. So if the jihadists are able to silence feminists, which is a pretty hard thing to do.
Yeah.
You're like, you know, we've got a problem.
We've got a problem.
So and I think to me that was very telling. So like when people start like saying like all these platitudes, yeah, but the conflict, yeah, but the geopolitics, yeah, but this, I'm like, I don't give a shit about geopolitics. I have to like lock my door, this and that. I'm in a bomb shelter. So again, if you want to have a discussion about geopolitics, the role of Iran, the different militias, the capacity of the IDF, the different missiles, I'm all for it. The impact of America. I love having a good discussion on geopolitics. I love having a good discussion about war. I love having a good discussion about everything, life during the war. But, you know, you're under an attack, and if the first thing like a family member in Spain tells you is like, yeah, but you know, the geopolitics is very hard, I'm like, okay, so our video unexpectedly cut off.
It did.
But I think we were kind of like reaching the end of the conversation anyway. Yeah. So we'll keep talking, and we're just going to kind of like wrap it up. Keep sending us your suggestions.
Subject matters.
Yeah, and I think maybe, what was that? Maybe we should say like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe if you want more of it, and we'll see you soon.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.